From a Mustang that almost was to a neighbor's shocking suggestion about hiding bodies, the iconic black beast that became Dean Winchester's baby harbors secrets even die-hard fans don't know. This isn't just about a car that survived 15 seasons. It's about squeaky doors, handpicked by a sound designer, a color swap from baby blue, and an alternate reality where the Impala never existed because of the Titanic. Here are 15 weird facts you didn't know about Supernatural's 1967 Chevy Impala. Fact 1. It was originally baby blue. When the production team for Supernatural went hunting for the perfect 1967 Chevrolet Impala to become Dean Winchester's iconic ride, they found exactly what they needed in Farmingdale, New Jersey. The car was purchased from the Kelly family in 2005, just as the show was gearing up for its premiere. The Kellys had been the second owners of the vehicle, having bought it from the original owners, who purchased it brand new back in 1967 from Matthews Chevrolet, also located in Farmingdale. But here's the weird part that most fans don't know. When the production crew first laid eyes on what would become the most famous demon-hunting vehicle in television history, it wasn't the menacing black beast we all recognize today. Instead, the Impala was painted in a cheerful baby blue color, complete with a baby blue interior and dual bench seats that matched the exterior perfectly. This bright, almost cheerful appearance was about as far from intimidating as you could get, which obviously wouldn't work for a car that needed to strike fear into the hearts of supernatural creatures across America. The irony of the color choice isn't lost on fans who know that Dean Winchester affectionately calls the car Baby throughout the series, a nickname that would have been far more literal if they'd kept that original baby blue paint job. The production team knew they had to transform this innocent-looking family sedan into something that screamed danger and power. So one of their first orders of business was giving the entire car a complete black paint job. They also modified the interior to fit the show's aesthetic, replacing those baby blue bench seats with the black upholstery that became synonymous with the Winchester brothers' mobile command center. It's almost impossible to imagine the Impala in any other color now, but somewhere in a parallel universe, Dean Winchester might still be cruising around in that baby blue ride. Fact 2. A neighbor's dark suggestion changed everything. When Eric Kripke was developing Supernatural back in 2005, he knew he wanted the Winchester brothers to drive an American muscle car that could become just as iconic as the show itself. His first choice seemed like an obvious one for a cool, classic ride, a 1965 Ford Mustang. After all, Mustangs were sleek, powerful, and had that rebellious edge that seemed perfect for a couple of demon hunters traveling across the country. Kripke was pretty set on this decision until he mentioned it to his neighbor in Venice, California, who happened to be a mechanic. The neighbor's response was brutally honest and completely changed the direction of the entire series. He told Kripke that a Mustang was the perfect car if he was, well, not tough enough, and then without missing a beat, he offered an alternative suggestion that would become television history. He said Kripke needed a 1967 Chevrolet Impala because of one very specific and rather dark reason. You can put a body in that trunk. The neighbor understood something Kripke hadn't fully considered yet, which was that the Winchester brothers weren't just going to be driving around looking cool. They were going to be hunting supernatural creatures, and they needed a car that could handle the brutal reality of that lifestyle. The trunk space argument was actually perfect for the show's concept because Sam and Dean would need somewhere to store their massive arsenal of weapons, from shotguns loaded with rock salt to specialized knives and all kinds of supernatural hunting gear. The neighbor also pointed out something else that resonated with the tone Kripke was trying to create. He said Kripke wanted a car that when people pulled up next to it at a red light, they would instinctively lock their doors. That intimidating presence was exactly what the show needed. Kripke immediately went to his computer to look up the 1967 Impala, and the moment he saw it, he knew his neighbor was absolutely right. The Impala had that perfect combination of menacing appearance and practical functionality that a Mustang simply couldn't match for the world of Supernatural. Fact 3. James Bond-style gadgets almost made it in when Eric Kripke was developing the pilot episode of Supernatural back in 2005. He had a vision that would have turned the Impala into something closer to James Bond's gadget-filled Aston Martin than a classic American muscle car. During the early stages of production, the creative team seriously explored adding special switches to the Impala's dashboard that could release oil or salt from the car while the brothers were driving. The idea was that these Bond-style features would help Sam and Dean fight off supernatural creatures during high-speed chases or dangerous situations. Salt, as fans of the show know, is one of the most important tools for hunters since it can repel ghosts and demons, so having the ability to spray it from the car seemed like it could be useful in theory. The oil would presumably work like the classic spy movie trick of creating slick roads to stop pursuers. Kripke revealed this abandoned concept years later during a Reddit AMA session where he was promoting his Amazon series, The Boys. When a fan asked him to share a standout memory from his time creating Supernatural, he responded with this surprising factoid about the Impala's almost very different design. He wrote that they not only explored the idea, but might have even actually shot footage of these gadgets in action for the pilot episode. However, the team quickly came to their senses and realized the concept just didn't fit the tone they were going for with the show. In Kripke's own words, they came to the conclusion that the whole idea was stupid. The decision to scrap the James Bond switches ended up being the right call because it kept the Impala grounded in reality as a genuine classic car rather than turning it into a fantasy vehicle. The show's appeal has always been about two regular guys driving a real muscle car across America fighting monsters, and adding high-tech gadgets would have undermined that blue-collar, working-class hunter aesthetic that made Supernatural so relatable. The Impala's power came from being a symbol of home and family, not from hidden weapon systems, and that's exactly what made Baby so beloved by fans for 15 seasons. Fact 4. The squeaky doors were individually selected. When you watch Supernatural, you might notice that the Impala's doors make a distinctive creaking sound every time Sam or Dean opens them, and that sound isn't just a happy accident from an old car. The show's sound supervisor, Mike Loshi, actually hand-picked two completely different squeaking sounds for each side of the car, giving the driver's door and the passenger's door their own unique character. This level of attention to detail shows just how much the production team cared about making Baby feel like a real lived-in character rather than just a prop that drives the brothers from case to case. Most television shows wouldn't bother with this kind of specific sound design for a car, but Supernatural treated the Impala as the third main character, so every detail mattered. Loshi didn't just record whatever sounds the actual cars on set were making and call it a day. Instead, he deliberately chose squeaks that would feel authentic and recognizable to viewers, creating an audio signature that became as iconic as the car's visual appearance. If you pay close attention during the show's 15 seasons, you can actually hear the difference between the two doors, with each one having its own pitch and tone that remained consistent throughout the series. This decision was part of a larger effort to make the Impala feel as real and tangible as possible for the audience. The sound design team understood that viewers would hear these doors opening and closing hundreds of times over 327 episodes, so those sounds needed to feel organic and natural rather than generic or forgettable. By giving each door its own personality through sound, Loshi helped reinforce the idea that this wasn't just any 1967 Chevy Impala. It was Dean Winchester's baby, a car with history, character, and a soul of its own. The squeaky doors became such a beloved part of the show's audio landscape that fans can instantly recognize them, proving that sometimes the smallest details make the biggest impact on a long-running series. Fact 5. The license plate has a geographic error. If you've ever paid close attention to the Impala's iconic Kansas license plate, you might have spotted something that doesn't quite add up. The plate reads KAZ2Y5, and it's specifically marked as being from Sedgwick County, Kansas. That seems perfectly fitting for the Winchester brothers, who proudly hail from Kansas and consider it their home state. But here's the problem. Lawrence, Kansas, where Sam and Dean are actually from according to the show's canon, isn't located in Sedgwick County at all. Lawrence is situated in Douglas County, Kansas, which is a completely different county in the eastern part of the state. This geographic error is one of those details that most viewers would never catch unless they happen to be familiar with Kansas geography or decided to do some research into the Winchester's home base. Sedgwick County is actually home to Wichita, which is Kansas's largest city and sits about 80 miles southwest of Lawrence. The two counties aren't even neighbors, making this license plate discrepancy a genuine continuity mistake rather than a close enough approximation. The KAZ portion of the license plate was intentionally chosen to represent Kansas as the Winchesters' home state, while the 2Y5 commemorates 2005, the year Supernatural first premiered on television. So while the creators clearly put thought into making the license plate meaningful and symbolic for the show, they apparently didn't worry too much about making sure the county designation matched up with the specific Kansas town they'd established as the brothers' hometown. It's the kind of small detail that wouldn't matter much to most viewers, especially those outside of Kansas. But for anyone familiar with the state's geography, it stands out as a curious oversight that somehow managed to stick around throughout the entire series run, becoming part of Baby's identity despite being technically incorrect from a geographic standpoint. Fact 6. Sam dooched up Baby. With an iPod, when Dean Winchester returned from hell in Season 4, he was reunited with his beloved Impala, but something was different. Sam had made a modification that would become one of the most memorable moments of brotherly conflict in the entire series. While Dean was suffering in the pit for months, Sam had installed an iPod jack in Baby's dashboard, replacing the classic cassette player setup that Dean had always used for his rock and roll collection. The moment Dean discovered this addition, he was absolutely horrified. In his mind, Sam had committed an unforgivable sin against the Impala's sacred interior. Dean immediately called out his brother, asking what he had done to the car, and Sam's response was simple and matter-of-fact. "I thought it was my car." After all, from Sam's perspective, Dean had died and gone to hell, and the Impala had been passed down to him, so he felt entitled to make the vehicle more practical for modern times. But Dean wasn't having any of it. Without hesitation, he ripped the iPod jack out of the dashboard and tossed it into the back seat, never to be seen or mentioned again in the entire series. Fans later dubbed this moment as Dean accusing Sam of douching up the Impala, and it became a perfect example of Dean's fierce protectiveness over Baby and his devotion to keeping things exactly the way they were. The scene also highlighted the brothers' different approaches to life, with Sam being more willing to adapt to modern convenience, while Dean remained stubbornly loyal to the classics. The iPod jack incident happened shortly after the Season 4 premiere episode titled Lazarus Rising, when Dean was brought back to life by the angel Castiel. The show never explained what song might have been playing on that iPod when Dean ripped it out, but knowing Sam's taste in music compared to Dean's, it probably wasn't Metallica or Led Zeppelin. From that point forward, the Impala returned to its original cassette-playing glory, and no one ever dared suggest modernizing Baby's sound system again. Fact 7. The car's value skyrocketed from $500 to $50,000. Before Supernatural hit television screens in 2005, you could pick up a 1967 Chevrolet Impala four-door sedan for pocket change by classic car standards, with many examples selling for around $500 or less. These four-door models weren't particularly sought after by collectors at the time, since most enthusiasts preferred the flashier two-door coupes and convertibles. The four-door sedan was seen as just a basic family car from the 60s, nothing special, and certainly not worth investing serious money into restoring or collecting. But then, Dean Winchester started driving one across America, hunting demons, and everything changed. As Supernatural gained a massive following over its 15-season run, fans didn't just fall in love with the Winchester brothers, they became obsessed with Baby, that menacing black Impala that rumbled through every episode. The impact on the classic car market was dramatic and measurable. By the time the show returned for its 2016 season, the term 1967 Chevrolet Impala had become the single most searched vehicle on ClassicCars.com, with more than 50,000 searches recorded in just the month of October alone. This surge in popularity sent values through the roof. According to ClassicCars.com, a fully restored black 1967 Chevrolet Impala four-door sedan now commands anywhere between $20,000 and $50,000, depending on condition and authenticity. Some particularly well-executed Supernatural tribute builds have sold for $30,000 to $50,000. That represents a price increase of up to 100 times the original value in just over a decade. For comparison, that's more expensive than a brand new Chevrolet Impala was selling for at dealerships during the show's run. The show created an entire subculture of fans seeking out these once overlooked sedans and transforming them into exact replicas of Baby, complete with the black paint, Kansas license plates, and every detail down to the trunk full of weapons. What was once considered just another old four-door sedan with 2 doors too many suddenly became one of the most desirable classic cars on the market. Fact 8. 9 different Impalas were used. When you watch Supernatural, it looks like Dean Winchester is driving the same pristine 1967 Chevy Impala week after week. But the reality behind the scenes tells a completely different story. The production actually maintained a fleet of 9 separate Impalas throughout the show's 15-season run, and each one served a very specific purpose during filming. This wasn't just about having backup cars in case something went wrong. It was a carefully planned system that allowed the crew to film everything from high-speed chase scenes to intimate conversations inside the vehicle without putting the main car at risk. The fleet broke down into several distinct categories based on what each car needed to do. 3 of the Impalas were designated as hero cars, which meant they were kept in the best possible condition for close-up shots and scenes where the car needed to look absolutely perfect. These were the vehicles you'd see when the camera focused on Baby's gleaming black paint or when Dean lovingly ran his hand across the hood. Then there were 3 stunt cars that were specially modified to handle all the dangerous driving sequences, crashes, and action scenes that would be too risky or damaging to perform with the hero cars. These stunt Impalas were equipped with reinforced frames, roll cages, and other safety equipment that regular viewers would never notice on screen. Beyond those 6 working vehicles, the production kept 2 cars that were already wrecked and damaged at different stages, which came in handy whenever a script called for the Impala to look totaled or beaten up after a supernatural encounter. The 9th and perhaps most unusual Impala was literally cut into sections with easily removable roofs, doors, and windows. This customized car existed purely to give camera operators better angles during interior driving scenes, allowing them to capture shots that would be impossible in a complete vehicle. This entire system meant that no matter what the script demanded, whether it was a gentle conversation scene or a dramatic collision, there was always the right Impala ready to film it. Fact 9. Only one Impala has factory air conditioning. When you're filming a television show that spans 15 seasons and 327 episodes, you need more than just one car to get the job done, especially when that car is constantly being crashed, flipped, and driven through walls. The production team behind Supernatural understood this reality perfectly, which is why they maintained a fleet of 9 different 1967 Chevrolet Impalas throughout the show's run. But among all these nearly identical black beauties, one stood out as the undisputed star of the fleet, and it had a feature that made it significantly more comfortable than all the others. The main hero car, which was used for the majority of close-up shots and scenes where the actors actually spent time inside the vehicle, came equipped with factory air conditioning, making it the only Impala in the entire production fleet with this luxury feature. This wasn't just a minor detail either, considering how much time Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki spent filming inside the car during Vancouver's varying weather conditions. While the other 8 Impalas in the fleet were modified for different purposes, like stunts, crashes, and special camera angles, they all lacked this basic comfort feature that made long filming days much more bearable for the cast and crew. What made this hero car even more special was what sat under the hood. Unlike the other Impalas that used smaller block engines for practical filming purposes, the main hero car was equipped with a 502 cubic inch big block engine that could produce an impressive 550 horsepower. This wasn't just for show either, as this powerful engine gave the car that distinctive rumble and presence that fans came to associate with Dean Winchester's beloved Baby. The combination of raw power and creature comforts made this particular Impala not just a prop, but a genuine high-performance vehicle that could actually deliver the muscle car experience the show portrayed, all while keeping its passengers cool and comfortable during those long shooting days in the driver's seat. Fact 10. The Impala doesn't exist in one timeline. In one of the strangest episodes of Supernatural's entire 15-season run, the iconic Impala completely vanished from existence, forcing Dean Winchester to drive something he'd originally been meant to pilot all along, a 1967 Ford Mustang. The episode My Heart Will Go On from Season 6 created an alternate timeline where the angel Balthazar traveled back in time and prevented the Titanic from sinking in 1912, which triggered a massive butterfly effect that rippled through history and changed everything about the present day. When the Titanic didn't sink and all those passengers survived instead of dying, their descendants were born, which altered countless events over the following decades. One of the strangest consequences of this timeline shift was that the Chevrolet Impala was never manufactured at all, meaning the car that had been the Winchesters' home and sanctuary for their entire hunting career simply didn't exist in this new reality. Instead of the familiar black four-door Impala, Dean drove a 1960s Ford Mustang through this alternate world, and the production team even put the Impala's original Kansas license plates on the Mustang, the plates that read KAZ2Y5. The episode also brought back Ellen and Joe Harvell, who were alive in this timeline, and even had Ellen married to Bobby Singer, running a salvage yard together. The weird part is that this Mustang wasn't just a random choice by the writers. It was actually a callback to creator Eric Kripke's original vision for the show, since he'd wanted Dean to drive a 1965 Mustang before his neighbor convinced him to go with the Impala instead. Eventually, Castiel was forced to have Balthazar resink the Titanic to restore the proper timeline, and when everything snapped back to normal, Sam and Dean woke up inside the familiar Impala, with the brothers retaining memories of the alternate reality, even though everyone else forgot it ever happened. Fact 11. It was inspired by Knight Rider's Kitty. When Eric Kripke sat down to create Supernatural, he didn't just want to make another show about two brothers fighting monsters. He wanted to bring back something he'd loved since childhood. Growing up, Kripke was obsessed with Knight Rider, the 1980s television series where a crime fighter named Michael Knight drove around in K-Iat, a talking Trans Am that was basically a character all on its own. For young Kripke, Kit wasn't just a cool car with gadgets and a sarcastic computer voice, it was the heart of the show, and he never forgot that feeling. Years later, when Kripke pitched Supernatural to network executives, he made it clear that he wanted the Impala to serve the same purpose that Kit had served in Knight Rider. In interviews, Kripke has said that to him, Kit was the bomb, and when he was developing the Winchester brothers' story, he really wanted to introduce the Impala as a way to bring back the idea that a car could be a main character and a trademark of the show. He didn't want the Impala to just be transportation that got Sam and Dean from one hunt to the next. He wanted it to have personality, history, and emotional weight. This inspiration shaped how the writers treated Baby throughout all 15 seasons. The Impala became a safe space where the brothers had their most honest conversations, a mobile home when they had nowhere else to go, and even a weapon when they needed to ram through obstacles or enemies. The show gave the car its own backstory, complete with the toys Sam and Dean had left in it as kids, like the army man stuck in the ashtray and the Lego blocks rattled around in the vents. Just like Kit had been Michael Knight's loyal partner, the Impala became the third Winchester brother, silent but always there, holding the family together even when everything else fell apart. Kripke's childhood love for a talking car directly shaped one of television's most iconic vehicles. Fact 12. Jensen Ackles had it written into his contract. When Supernatural finally wrapped production in 2020 after 15 seasons, Jensen Ackles drove away with more than just memories. He took home the actual hero Impala that had been Dean Winchester's beloved baby throughout the entire series. But getting to keep this iconic piece of television history wasn't something that just happened automatically. Ackles had to fight for it, and his persistence over multiple years shows just how much the car meant to him beyond simply being a prop on set. In interviews, Ackles revealed that he had been asking the studio to let him keep the Impala for years before the show ended. He explained that he begged and pleaded with Warner Brothers executives repeatedly, hoping they would eventually agree to let him take the car home when filming concluded. The studio initially resisted, likely because these production vehicles have significant value and the main hero car was worth far more than a typical classic Impala due to its television fame. But Ackles refused to give up on his dream of owning Baby. The breakthrough finally came during contract negotiations for season 15, which everyone involved knew would be the show's final year. Ackles managed to get a specific clause written directly into his season 15 contract, guaranteeing that he would receive the main hero Impala when production wrapped. He later told fans that he didn't steal it and had official permission, joking that after years of begging, they were finally going to let him drive the Impala home for good. Meanwhile, Jared Padalecki, who played Sam Winchester, also received one of the Impalas, though his wasn't written into a contract. Instead, Warner Brothers executive Peter Roth gave both actors an Impala as a thank you gift for their years of dedication to the show. Padalecki explained that the studio could have sold those cars for potentially $1 million each, given their fame and connection to the series, but instead chose to give them to the actors as a gesture of appreciation. Padalecki later shared that the first song he played when he got into his Impala was "Carry On Wayward Son," the Kansas track that became synonymous with the Winchester brothers' journey. Fact 13. The spotlights were temporarily removed for filming. When you think about the Impala's iconic look on Supernatural, those distinctive side spotlights are part of what makes Baby instantly recognizable. But there was a moment in the show's history when they mysteriously disappeared and fans were not happy about it. During the filming of Season 3's episode, Dream a Little Dream of Me, director Steve Boyum made the decision to remove the side spotlights from the Impala because he needed to mount cameras in their place to capture specific shots for the episode. This was purely a practical filming decision, as the spotlights were physically in the way of where the camera equipment needed to be positioned. But what started as a temporary removal for one episode ended up lasting much longer than anyone expected. The spotlights stayed off the car for multiple episodes after that, and eagle-eyed fans noticed immediately that something was wrong with Baby's appearance. By May of 2008, dedicated Supernatural fans had seen enough and decided to take matters into their own hands by launching an organized campaign to get the spotlights restored to the Impala. These fans understood that the spotlights weren't just random accessories, but were actually an important part of the car's character and visual identity on the show, so they rallied together to make their voices heard. The campaign involved online petitions, social media posts, and direct appeals to the show's producers to bring back this crucial detail that helped make the Impala look like a legitimate hunting vehicle rather than just another classic car. The fan campaign worked, and the production team eventually restored the spotlights to the Impala, acknowledging that these seemingly small details mattered deeply to the show's passionate audience. It's a perfect example of how much fans cared about every aspect of Baby's appearance and how the show's creators listened when something important to the car's authenticity went missing, even if it was just a pair of spotlights that most casual viewers might not have even noticed were gone. Fact 14. The Ohio license plate is a creator Easter egg. When you watch Supernatural's second season, you might notice something different about the Impala's license plate if you're paying close attention to the small details. The car switches from its original Kansas plates to a new set of Ohio plates that read CNK80Q3, and while the show explains this change as the Winchester brothers trying to evade FBI agent Victor Hendrickson, who's been tracking them across the country, there's actually a hidden personal touch from the show's creator built right into this seemingly practical plot point. The decision to specifically give the Impala Ohio license plates wasn't just a random choice or picked because Ohio happened to be a nearby state on a map. Creator Eric Kripke, who developed the entire concept of Supernatural and brought it to life on the WB network back in 2005, is originally from Ohio himself, and the Ohio plates serve as his personal stamp on the show's most iconic prop. It's a subtle way of Kripke leaving his mark on the series without making it obvious or drawing attention away from the story, and most viewers watching the episodes would have no idea there's any deeper meaning behind the plate change beyond the brothers needing to ditch their easily traceable Kansas tags. The original Kansas license plate, KAZ2WY5, had its own built-in meanings, with KAZ representing Kansas as the Winchesters' home state and 2WY5 marking 2005 as the year the show premiered. So it makes sense that the replacement plates would also carry some significance, rather than just being a random combination of letters and numbers. The Ohio plates remained on the Impala for the rest of the show's 15-season run, quietly representing Kripke's home state for over a decade of demon hunting and cross-country adventures. Even after Kripke stepped down as showrunner following Season 5, the Ohio plates stayed put as a lasting reminder of where the show's creator came from and the personal touches he wove into every aspect of the series. Fact 15: an entire episode was shot from Baby's perspective. In Season 11, Episode 4 of Supernatural, the show did something no other series had attempted before. They told an entire story from the point of view of a car. The episode, simply titled Baby, follows the Winchester brothers through a hunt, but every single shot is filmed either from inside the Impala or positioned on the car itself, making the vehicle the literal lens through which viewers experience the action. This wasn't just a creative gimmick either, because the production team had to completely rethink how they filmed the show to pull it off. The technical challenge of shooting an entire episode from the car's perspective required using all three of the main Impalas in very specific ways. Baby 1, the hero car, was responsible for providing the authentic engine rumble and the signature creaking sounds from the doors that fans had come to love over the years. Baby 2 handled most of the exterior driving shots where the camera needed to capture the car moving through different locations. Baby 3 was specially rigged with multiple cameras mounted throughout the interior to film all the conversations and intimate moments between Sam and Dean without the cameras getting in the way or being visible in the reflections. Director Thomas J. Wright had to figure out how to make dramatic moments work when the camera couldn't leave the vehicle, which meant fight scenes, tense confrontations, and even a beheading all had to happen within or around the Impala. The final fight of the episode takes place entirely in the backseat, with Dean decapitating a monster by slamming the car door on his head 3 times. The episode also gave fans rare glimpses into the brothers' downtime, showing them sleeping in the front seat, singing along to classic rock, and having the kinds of quiet conversations that usually happened off-screen. At the end of the episode, Sam tells Dean that the Impala isn't just their car, it's their home, which perfectly captured why this experimental episode worked so well and why Baby deserved her own starring role after 10 seasons of faithful service.